Yo, what's going on, guys? And today we'll be discussing the Golden State Warriors offseason recap. I tried to hold out as long as possible, but look, either Jonathan Kuminga is re-signing to the qualifying offer, which will make him be an unrestricted free agent next offseason and give him a no trade clause for this year, allowing him to have leverage and veto any trades that he doesn't want, or he's re-signing and then probably getting traded, or he's getting signed and traded. We're going to go ahead and move on from there. By the way, it seems that once that's all figured out, Al Horford, DeAnthony Milton, and Gary Payton II are going to be joining this roster. So before we start today's video, I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts down below in the comment section. What do you guys think of these moves, and are they enough for them to be quote-unquote contenders? Said it before. Health's the biggest question. So let's talk about these Golden State Warriors. Like, comment, subscribe. Now, the Warriors, obviously, if you're following along, it's just been Jonathan Kuminga on repeat. And that has created a stalemate and basically has made their offseason just hampered with what they were going to do, as their direction was bringing back the core and solidifying it. But Kuminga's free agency has kind of stolen the spotlight for that. So we really don't know how everything's going to go out, or if it's going to be Kumbaya or not. They got themselves in the draft. Alex Toohey is perfect. I think he's actually someone who can contribute. He's kind of a George Niang type player, while Will Richards, a guy who played at Florida, championship pedigree, I think they give him some depth, nothing too crazy. And technically, like in the trade, Kobe Bryant's draft rights were traded, but it was mainly Kevon Looney going to the Pelicans was the big one. I think they were expecting that. They had young guys in the wings waiting to take over. So to me, that was just kind of seeming like something that they were expecting. Now, they basically so far, if we don't count Al Horford coming in and DeAnthony Milton and Gary Payton II, they've just brought Exhibit 10 contracts in. So expecting Al Horford, Gary Payton II, and Mr. DeAnthony Milton there. That's three dudes that would join B-Pod and Moses Moody in the second unit, with Al Horford either starting or Quinn Post, with the starting lineup probably being Curry, Buddy Hield, Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green. Then you have those three guys, Milton, Payton, and Mr. Al Horford. And then Kuminga, or whoever he gets signed and traded for, which could either be the Malik Monk deal with a first-round pick that's protected, or several second-round picks, Devin Carter, a former first-round pick, and Dario Saric, or the Bulls deal, which is either Vucevic or could be other guys staggered together, or Josh Giddey. This is a team that's $17.5 million, almost under the luxury tax. They're $25 million on the first apron and almost $37 million under the second apron. Have $17 million, as I already mentioned, that they're comfortably just having space, that they don't have to worry about their money being misappropriated. They have the non-taxpayer mid-level exception in the biannual. They also have the trade exceptions that they haven't used. But this offseason feels incomplete because they're still waiting for Jonathan Kuminga to work, because if they re-sign and later trade him, or whatever happens, they're basically waiting so they can get the veterans that we've talked about in this video, which we'll talk more about. But Curry and Butler give this team a pretty good core. And I think the whole future of this roster doesn't depend on Kuminga, but depends on what moves they'll do. Now, Looney leaving does leave a big hole at the center position, but that's why Al Horford, Quinn Post, Trace Jackson Davis will be center by committee. And they're looking to be championship contenders. So do they re-sign, sign and trade Jonathan Kuminga? What do you think will happen? Was Jimmy Butler enough to raise their ceiling? And can Curry and Butler and Draymond Green and everybody stay healthy? So that's where I think we're going to have my other video just play here, because that's more than enough.
Yo, what's going on, guys? And I just wanted to discuss the reports basically come from ESPN and The Athletic at this point that Al Horford, if he does not retire, will sign with the Golden State Warriors. For how much, I don't know. Will probably be at least the veteran minimum, obviously. Could be a bit more. And they'll also be signing DeAnthony Milton, who they had last year and looked great for them before injuring his knee. And, of course, bringing back Gary Payton II. This all has been basically held up due to their stalemate with Jonathan Kuminga, who's either going to return on the qualifying offer and have a no trade clause and be able to be an unrestricted free agent next year, or on the deal of his choice or be signed and traded. Seemingly more and more he's going to do the qualifying offer route. And that's been the holdup here. So for this team currently, I think the biggest thing to understand is getting Gary Payton II here and returning, I would say, and same thing with De'Anthony Milton, gives them 2 point of attack defenders, dogs who can play off ball and are able to be transition players and veterans who Mr. Steve Kerr can rely upon. Same thing, Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, and Curry. Because at the end of the day, teams that have deep benches are the ones who are able to go deep into the playoffs, because either injuries, adjustments, whatever it may be, in the playoffs, they're able to make the moves that need to be done. So having Al Horford be your backup center, him or starting center, Quinn Post, Trace Jackson Davis, gives you a center by committee. And guess what? Golden State Warriors were at their best during the dynasty run when they went center by committee, like Maurice Spates, Ezeli, if I remember that correctly, as well as, who else? They had James Michael McAdoo, Andrew Bogut, and a few other guys during those years where they just had Damian Jones was a guy at one point. So they've always been their best when they have multiple centers, athletic guy in Trace Jackson Davis, as well as Quinn Post being the floor spacer, Al Horford being another one, and then Draymond Green still the small ball option. They have Jimmy Butler, Buddy Hield, and the other thing is having Jimmy Butler, Mr. Gary Payton, De'Anthony Milton gives you 3 elite point of attack defenders, as well as Moses Moody, Key Santos, and B-Pod when they try, are plus defenders still that they have on this team. And obviously, it's not like Curry is a turnstile. He can defend when he needs to. And everybody on this team can defend. So having that is huge. Plus, regardless of what Al Horford is at this point, is going to be able to be someone that can go ahead and be able to be a veteran who has championship experience and go ahead and help a team like Golden State if they need just locker room leadership, accountability, someone else to be like the old heads with Curry, Draymond, and Jimmy Butler. Now, look, if we just look at what they did statistically, so having Al Horford be someone that last year averaged 9.6 rebounds, 2 assists, and it's not like they need him to be playing 30 minutes a night, but he did still shoot 36% from 3-on-5 attempts from deep, 42% on the field. Basically, besides 5 threes a game, he took like 2 layups a night. Then De'Anthony Milton, before the injuries occurred, he was someone that he's still 27 years old. Mr. Do Something. 10 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists last year's in those 6 games for the Golden State Warriors, 6 threes a night, and shooting 37%, almost 41% from the field. Someone who was able to also just be really good defensively, 1.5 steals in a career, 1.5 steals a night guy, 9 points, and someone who is a career 37% three-point shooter, where you just know he's efficient. And he's been someone who's been able before last year and his year with Philadelphia. He had played back-to-back 77 games with Memphis and the Sixers. And obviously, we all know Gary Payton II, the son of the glove, NBA champion. Yeah, he's 32 years old, and he assumed De'Anthony Milton and Gary Payton would be probably 1-year veteran minimum deals. I would assume the same thing with Al Horford. All of them just so they can, Al Horford would probably be a swan song the entire next year, regardless of how the season turns out. But with Mr. obviously Gary Payton and De'Anthony Milton would want to do this to rebuild his value, go into a situation where he's thrived already or knows what to do, while Gary Payton, he's just been there for a while. He left for a second, and that whole injury thing with Portland, and seemingly he's someone that over the last few seasons, yeah, he's had injury problems, but he has shot 34% from three on 1.5 attempts a game the last 2 years, about 56% from the field in general, 3 rebounds, just over an assist a night, about a steal a game. He's someone who could be a pick and roll guard. He can guard all 5 positions. And as I mentioned, he's someone who can back up Buddy Hield, play with B-Pod, Moses Moody, just gets this bench deeper because you bring in D'Anthony Milton, regardless of Kuminga or whoever they get in a sign and trade, just say it's one person they add. So besides their starting 5, which will have Quinn Post in there and Green, Butler, Buddy Hield and Steph Curry be that starting lineup with Kuminga or whoever they have at the 6-man position. They had B-Pod, Moses Moody, who right there, that's 8 guys. You throw in 3 other dudes and Milton, Horford, and Gary Payton II. You're at 11 dudes before you even reach Guy Santos and Trace Jackson Davis, who we know can contribute. So that's 13 guys. And they still have Alex Toohey, who I think is way better than people need to give him credit. And I think that's just shows what has been being built here. So to me, that's the biggest thing. I want to hear your guys' thoughts. Do you think this Golden State Warriors team, which, as I mentioned, ESPN, The Athletic, and the Stein line, Mark Stein and Jake Fisher, have all reported that Milton, Horford, obviously Horford, if he doesn't join the Warriors, the report is that he's just going to head off into the sunset. Now, I think he'll try one more time, because this team really could be one of the top teams in the West. Now, even if they get all these guys, and if Jonathan Kuminga comes back, or they do the sign-in trade where they'll get themselves Darius Saric and Devin Carter, or it's Malik Monk, or Nikola Vucevic, or whoever, Josh Giddey is the other report. So at this point, the Phoenix Suns offered, I think it was either Royce O'Neal and Nick Richards, or I believe Grayson Allen and whoever they would throw in that salary filler. So regardless of that, I think the team would need to stay healthy. And if they do, they are a top team. I mean, Curry's still playing at an unbelievable level. So is Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green. So if they're all able to stay healthy, like they were last year, and then they got hurt and it all fell apart. So let me know what you guys think.